So, the local stamp club that I am a member of is meeting this coming weekend, and we always bring ATCs, artist trading cards, to share with our with all the different stamp club members. And so, this is the one that I'm thinking I'm going to do for this month. This is for February. I actually, no, this is for January. We're meeting mid-month. We've been pushed off a few weeks with the new year and the weather here. So, but I think I want to go with something a little Valentine-y feel to it. And I want to do a Valentine, I think, this month. And then if we meet early February, I will. But I thought this would be a cute little ATC to do. When I do my ATCs for my stamp club, I like to usually incorporate some kind of stamping. And in this case, I'm thinking I'm going to do some coloring. So I just wanted to show you, I'm going to go through the process here. I am using a stamp set from Lawn Fawn. It's called Happy Hugs. I was having to remember the name, Happy Hugs. And I was playing around earlier doing some stamping of the different little cute little animals hugging and the thinking, and then playing around with some of the coloring. And even though I absolutely love some of these, look at this squirrel. Is that not so cute? I love these little mice, and you'll see the little mice show up in a lot of the Lawn Fawn stamps. That is so cute. I even like how this turned out. I've been watching a lot of videos on different coloring techniques and that sort of thing, and I like how that even turned out. But I think what I'm going to go with to fit on my 2.5 by 3.5 card is the little blue bird looking up at the little yellow and blue bird hugging and have I miss your hugs. Now I may come in, I don't know if I will just do the stamping here or if I will do some embossing. We'll see when we get to it. I loved how the little hearts turned out. I don't have any of this glued down because it is my design, my initial design, and we will see how we go from there. Let's see, was there anything else I wanted to show you before I get started? Oh, I did want to show you, I wanted to show you the paper that I used. So in the background here, I am using some Stampin' Up paper for the cardstock in blue. It's called Bashful Blue, and I don't even think that's one of their colors now, but I had a couple of sheets of this left, and I thought it went well with this Valentine paper that I had from Stampin' Up that I'm not even for sure the collection name, but I had a sheet of this that I thought would be enough. I have to make, I believe it's 8 of these. I'm going to check that number, and but I'm going to go through that process. I think I'm going to stamp out the little birdie features, the hearts, the sentiment, and of course the thought bubble, and then we'll put that all together. So I want to show you a little heads up of where I'm going with this. The first step is going to be stamping out all of the images. So I just start with a basic white sheet of cardstock, and then I stamp all the images. Like I mentioned before, I have to make 8 ATCs, and so I usually am going to stamp out more than 8 for multiple reasons. Number one, sometimes I mess up on the stamping or on the coloring itself or cutting out. And if I don't mess up on them, I can take those extras and save those in my little stash, and I can use them as needed. So it was really fun stamping all these out. I messed up on that first little thought bubble and then ran out of space, so I'm going to stamp a few more. It was really easy to stamp those thought bubbles, so I just kept going along with these hearts. They're just so tiny, but they're easy to stamp out and then color. I'm going to have plenty of extras of these hearts when it's all over. So here's my first coloring. I'm going to do this bird in these 3 different blue colors. For this particular set, I think I'm using all of the Hobby Lobby Master's Touch markers, and I will include those colors. I'm really working on my different shading as I'm doing coloring. So like I said, I have been watching videos and practicing, and even since I've done this, I've picked up a few more colors, because to me that's important, and it's the difficult part it's picking out which are the colors that are the matching color and that provides that shading. Okay, I made a little mistake here on the top of this. I went outside the line, and I wanted to show you how this N1 blender pen works really well to clean up. You can't tell it here, but when it dries, you cannot see that I'm out of the line. Now, here was another little hint that I got on coloring this little birdie. Yes, that is an orange that I'm starting out with, and then the next color being the yellow. And these different pens that I'm using are for the orange and yellow are Stampin' Up Stampin' Blends. It's the light and the dark of the yellow, and then the orange, but that orange blends out with the yellow. I also love coloring these little hearts. I used 2 different shades of the pink, and I think they were both Copic markers, and so I love doing the little half of the heart in one color, and then I come in and fill in with a little bit lighter, and you can really tell it on that second one that I did. So I'm still trying to practice and perfect doing the different shading, and with this bird I'm even going to come in and do it a little bit different. I wanted to show you on this next scene, but what I really was practicing here was giving the lighter blue, saving that for almost like for the belly of the bird. And so another thing that you'll notice as you're even coloring, the colors will kind of change a little bit even as they're drying. So that's important to look at too. Okay, this was the next technique that I was trying. I do the outside edge with the darker color, and then also outline that wing with the darker color. Then we'll just fill in with the next darker blue, and then finish up with that lighter blue. And I just like that shading look. Again, I'm still practicing and learning, and that's how we learn how to do it, right? We get better at it. And we'll finish this off with the little orange for the beak for the bird. Now, I really wanted to show you how I outlined the thought bubbles a little bit in the very light blue, and then added the little white outlines on some of the little pieces. I missed that when I was recording, but you can see the final product here now, and I'm getting my dies ready to cut those out, and then here's what I've got to work with, all the little cutouts. It takes a little time to cut it all out, but if you enjoy it, it's a fun process. So now I've also got the inserts for the cardstock and the designer series paper for my cards, and I did one final stamping of the sentiment of I miss your hugs, and I'm just doing a straight cutout of these. I didn't like some of the stamped images that came out of this, but you just stamp some more, and then I'm going to cut out the ones that I will end up using, and just tried to do the best cuts that I could. To me, it doesn't have to be perfect. Some people might want to use their trimmers to cut it out, and that works just fine too. So once that's all ready, it's time to put the cards together. And so I usually will put the very first one together completely, and that's what I'm doing here as I line all these little pieces up with the thought bubble, and we'll have the 2 little birdies inside. I'm really sticking pretty close to that initial design that I showed you at the beginning of the video. And when everything's laid out, I'm going to be ready to start gluing things down. And all that's left is to add the little bitty hearts. They're just so tiny. And so I'm using my little stick pin there to pick those up because they are so tiny, and that's going to be the completed card. So once I get that first one done, then I like to put the remainder of the cards together in almost an assembly line fashion. So I'll try to do all of one set completely before I move on to the next step. And I only have 7 more cards here to do, so that's what I'm doing. Even as I'm picking out the pieces to line them up on the card, I try to make it a fun game to myself almost, and not put in any particular order, and it's almost as I grab the pieces out and as it makes sense to put things down. So I'm even going to go ahead out of order and put those 2 little birdies down before I finish all of the thought bubbles. But that's just kind of how it helps me get through this process of putting all of the cards together. At this point, I'm just ready to see what the completed products are going to be and hold all 8 cards together completed in my hand. So we're going to put the little sentiments on here now. And then the only other thing that we're lacking are the 2 little hearts that we put on each of the ATCs. So finishing that up, and now you can see I'm going to put those little hearts on. And it's really easy with just putting a little drop of glue down and then placing the hearts. And just about finished here. And now I've finished all my ATCs. I have them ready to go to use this weekend. And I wanted to show you the little sample that I made to share with my friends there of how you can use an ATC. So I took this ATC and I taped it onto a white piece of cardstock. I used this tag die cut. I cut this out, and I did that in that order so that I could have the edge here along the blue line. It fit almost perfectly. I think it cut just a little bit of the 2.5 length here. Now, I'm making this tag, so what I wanted to do was have a circle around the punch part, and let me get my hole punch. I took that matching little strip of paper, and I think that's about, let's see, it's about a 1/2 inch circle that I put on there. And for the punch, I'm going to try to get right in the middle. Good enough. And it kind of takes away, it leaves just a little bit of the circle. It's really not going to show a lot because what I want to do now is add some cute ribbon. And this is the finished little tag that can be applied to any kind of little bag or any kind of little treat for Valentine's Day using this ATC that I put together. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I love this little die set. I loved using my markers, and I will be planning to use this on a cute little Valentine's treat.